think the signal manifestation of where we're at right now is that we cannot construct a coherent consensus about where we are, and therefore we were not able to construct a coherent to-do list about what we're going to do about it. There's no question that there are too many of us on the planet. You know, this is, I think, best understood in the term population overshoot. The important thing to know about it is, as far as the U.S. is concerned, there will be no policy, there will be no protocol for the population other than immigration issues. You know, we're not going to have any one-child policy in the United States. But what's going to happen here and around the world is that the usual suspects are going to come in and do their thing. Famine, violence, disease, and we're beginning to see that really rev up right now in the world. Obviously, Malthus was correct. The only thing that he didn't anticipate was the 200-year blip of fossil fuels that enabled us to basically feed X number of billions more people on food produced by oil, gas, coal, etc. Delusional thinking in this country is now completely off the charts, and that's why I call this reality optional nation. The cover of one of our major magazines, we're never going to run out of oil. We just believe things that are not true. The President of the United States said this in 2011. It's not true. We don't have 100 years of shale gas. End of story. His opponent last time, we're going to become energy independent. We're not going to become energy independent, not in the way that people think. You know, my last nonfiction book was called Too Much Magic, subtitle, Wishful Thinking, Technology, and the Fate of the Nation. So naturally, we're very confused about, you know, what we're going to do, where this is going. We cannot frame any particular set of propositions to act upon in the sense of being a common culture with common aims. I want to try to explain the oil predicament to you in 1 minute or less. You have the old oil and you have the new oil. The old oil from Texas, let's say in the 1950s, cost $400,000 per well in today's money to drill one well. It produced thousands of barrels a day for decades. Shale oil from the Bakken and from Eagle Ford in Texas costs between $6 and $12 million per well. It produces around 100 barrels a day for the first year. The second year it produces half of that, and then 3 years later it's gone. And this is another popular delusion in America, that the earth is a bonbon with a creamy nougat center of oil. A lot of people believe this. It's not true. One of the things I think that is necessary to understand is that, like everything in the world and everything in history, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to things, you know, including the techno-industrial adventure. You know, it didn't come with a guarantee that it would go on forever. So this was the beginning of it. You know, it was fun. We produced a lot of goods. We raised our standard of living. We raised the tenor of civilization generally. Well, something happened. And what happened was, first of all, we came to the end of the cheap energy period. And now we're in the expensive energy period. And when you have energy that's not cheap, you start to get an impairment of capital formation. That is to say, capital does not form. Wealth does not accumulate in the sense of real wealth. You get fake wealth of the kind that we've been seeing for the last 20, 30 years. The financialization of the economy, where we went from having 5% of the economy be financed, that is, generating and deploying capital for useful future productive activities, to now 40% of the economy being financialization, and most of that activity is in the form of fraud and swindling. And when you divorce truth from reality, you end up in a very, very damaged culture. And one of the main manifestations of the damage is you're going to start to damage the legitimacy of all the institutions in your society. No one will believe in them anymore. There are two ways that we can go broke with a lot of these financial shenanigans, these swindles and frauds. You can either enter a compressive deflation, in which case nobody has any money. Everybody's broke because there's no money, okay? Or you can have an extreme inflation, in which case Everybody's got money, and the money's worthless. You know, take your pick. My guess is we're going to go through the deflation part first, and then we're going to go through the wicked inflation part. And so we're going to experience both ways of going broke. Another delusion that is popular these days is the idea that technology and energy are the same, and if you run out of one, you plug in the other. Okay? That's not going to happen either. The assignment for the civilized world is to start downscaling our activities and relocalizing our activities. We're not interested right now because the infrastructures of globalism are so deeply installed in place that we can't get rid of them. It's perfectly obvious that we're going to have to wrap our heads around the idea of we're going to have to return to living in traditional, walkable neighborhoods and communities. Obviously, a lot of stuff out there is unsuited to that. It's not going to be retrofitted. We have a lot of existing towns and cities in America, smaller cities, that are waiting to be re-inhabited and reactivated, and I think we're going to eventually see people moving back to them. And by the way, I think you can state categorically, anything that's organized on the humongous scale in this country is going to fail one way or another. It's got to get smaller or it's going to fail. I don't care whether it's a big bank, a big corporation, a big government, you know, a big school. Any super big institution has got to get smaller and better do it fast. And I believe in a hopeful future. It's just not the future we ordered. You know, it's a different future. And it's not consistent with a lot of our assumptions right now, which are wishful assumptions. So let's get real. Thank you for your attention, and I'm sorry I took too much time.
No.